Hello everyone, welcome to the Advancement Centre and welcome to the world of magic and miracles, where once again we can play in that specific area that has no meaning, in that portion of our world that is bigger than the world we actually see, and in a place well above the elevated platform of living that we've always seen as the greatest part of our life. But now we have more dimensions added from other fields throughout the universe and from our origin, where all the gifts that we bring to the world are totally obvious in our field. So as we begin to play and bring ourselves back into the physical world in a different form to what we were in before, we can enhance our well-being, everybody's well-being, the growth of the planet, of the plants, of all the components that we're aware of. And together with that, we can enhance all the dimensions that are inhabited by the birds, by the animals, by the small animals, by the insects, by the little people, and also the hidden dimensions for the fairies and all those special beings that look after various parts of our world. On top of all this, we have communication with every part of the universe, instantly and without any form of interpretation required. We just know what's happening. We call it the communication system, which is the language of the stars. The language of the stars is a language from our origin that gives us a thrill as soon as we mention it. In that language, there is that special music that fires up your whole being and gives you a livelihood that you never knew was there. It starts your physical engine that brightens up your world, turns on senses that you didn't know existed, and gives you a buzz immediately. And as you get used to that, you don't want anything else. So in the world of confusion, it seems like it doesn't have a place. And that's true. It's just like in the world of black and white, color doesn't have a place. But in the world of color, black and white has a place. So as we have access to more of our own extensive tools, I would call them, you can produce in the field of the earth things that you couldn't produce with what you thought you had a few years ago. What you have now is beyond all the things that you can explain, because explanation comes from an attempt to describe what you've already done. And it's an attempt to describe what humanity has already done. But it is done from the world of magic and miracles, where as a child you had complete command. And you can laugh about it now because you see the children having complete command and demonstrating it right in front of you. And as far as the children are concerned, nothing's ever changed. It's how it always was, how it always will be. Even in the great texts of all the religions, of all the practices that have existed throughout the world, it's always been the statement, be as little children. And then they've applied it to all sorts of explanations. But being as little children is smarter than what we are now. It is more extensive. It gives you the capability to see things that you can't see normally. Just like I've mentioned many times, you see a child standing there looking at something in the middle of nowhere. And they're obviously looking at something, and quite often they can explain what it is. But most times, they're embarrassed by your lack of knowledge. And they look at you with a bit of a shock and go off and play. So if you've ever been in a position where somebody said to you, stop daydreaming, you'll find that you were seeing what little children see. Something way beyond the natural vision. And sometimes it appears just like a screen in front of you. Other times it's just a knowing. And then other times you're in another dimension where you don't physically get a picture, but you know exactly what it is. And we're moving in and out of all those phases continually, a million times a second. So if you ask somebody, what color is the person that's sitting next to you? What color do they portray? You can tell them straight away, as long as you don't think. You can say, oh, they're pink, or they're blue, or they're green, or they're miserable, they're black or dark red. And if you're not thinking, it comes straight out. As soon as you start to think, you say, oh, I don't know. Because you go into the area where those facilities are not available. Everything we have comes to us instantly and without time. So when you start to think, you've lost what came to you. If you respond immediately to every sense and don't ask what sense that was, you'll have a brilliant life of magic and miracles that doesn't need to relate to anything. It doesn't even need to relate to yourself, because you're just involved in it, just like a child playing a game. And it's not until a child gets past a certain point where they start changing the rules. Because when they're really small, there are no rules. They don't even set the rules if they're playing together. But they very quickly reject one another if they're not in line. We are able now to watch ourselves produce that same field, that field of excitement, of encouragement for everybody to be in our game and for us to be in their game. And let the game grow because we're all playing together. It sounds like, wow, we've all gone backwards. We're going senile. Well, that's true. It's good fun. You try it. You try throwing everything away and just standing there and saying, well, someone will have to show me something. And then you'll find you are shown from a million different directions exactly what to do, but without you having a picture of what it is. You'll start to move, you'll start to dance. you'll start to laugh at yourself. You'll look around and you'll see that what you're looking at is quite different to what it was when you had it, your whole system, as you call it, in order. So recently I said, let it fly. Let your energies fly. Let them go everywhere. It's time to register your signature in the world. Just like you make space for a child when they come into the world, you're about to make space for yourself in this new and progressive world where we all have intelligence beyond our belief and understanding beyond reason. So the old habit that used to happen when people were talking of them saying, well, you know, is actually now not a habit, but a big part of our language. Because we transmit to one another, you know, because we know exactly what each one is involved in and how they're connected and how they're listening or not listening. What we do in the progress of our life is now so random that it entertains us all the time. We can't get bored even because we don't know what's coming. But in fact, you know through a different system exactly what's coming. You know before it appears. Just like you know that somebody's about to walk around the corner or that somebody's looking at you and you turn around and find they are. Or I keep talking about, you know when someone's about to ring you. Or when a close friend or relative is in trouble. You also know when they're very happy. And this is the one that makes the difference. We now only follow the perfection of magic and miracles, which is a continuous flow of results that are magic, that take even the most difficult of tasks and change them into something enjoyable. It's no longer a mystery that we travel from one place to another and it seems like it took 10 minutes and you've been on the road for 2 hours. It's also not a mystery that you think you've been driving for 2 hours because that's the length of a trip when you get there in an hour and a half and you didn't break the speed limit. We're getting to the point where we can adjust everything and we're not really sure how we do it. And that's the key thing. It's important that you don't know how you do it. Because the only way you can know something is if you turn it over in your brain, pull out all the things that you are aware of, and put it together in some form that means something. But if it's new and you've never seen it before, you end up with something quite different to what was delivered. It's just like analysing something. You can analyse a centipede, but you won't get it to be correct unless you've got the right number of legs. And if it's something different, well, you'll find that someone gets the tweezers and takes spare legs off and say that they're no good because it's supposed to be a centipede. But in fact, it might be a new species. So many of the things that are happening around us, we tend to tear the legs off and stuff it in a fixed compartment that we understand. So in our new understanding, it takes into account zero comparison to anything. We can see things that nobody else can see. And that's good. That's the advanced intelligence of the individuality of each person. The advanced understanding that there is much more in the world than we've ever seen in our own field. And you can even reason that and say, well, how can you get to all these places in a lifetime? You need a lot of lifetimes just to get around the world. Even though people say, I've been around the world, you say, have you been to the person's place next door? Or 3 houses down? They say, no, we haven't been around the world. But you can sit where you are right now and you can visit all those places, everything, in detail, anytime you want. You can walk through a place you used to live years ago. You can walk through a highlight in another country because you have one lead. You might have seen something on TV. But beyond that, you can actually be there as it is now without any reference to anything. And that's the higher intelligence that we're allowed now to use on this earth. Humanity has grown up. It's extremely intelligent. And it doesn't need to do dirty tricks to prove one person more intelligent than the other. There's no proof in your own intelligence except for you. There's no proof in your own understanding except for you. So when you start to smile about all the things that are happening to you, everybody's interested in that smile and in the transmission that happens because you're smiling. And their life becomes more enhanced because you didn't have to explain a thing, because you're transmitting something that allows them the freedom to play similar games in their own world. And the dimension of freedom which holds all this special communication is here, now, available to everyone. We've talked about many things over the years. And the first thing I remember saying to everyone when I started speaking was, listen, but don't take any notice of me. Take notice of you, what comes to you through all the special channels that open up because I'm here. They don't belong to me, they belong to you. But it's just like walking alongside someone when they're trying to walk upstairs and they're not that fit. While you're alongside them, they can do it fine, because what you're transmitting opens up more channels that allows them to control the flow of energy that assists them up the stairs. So there's much more in assisting people than just pushing and pulling and changing the mechanical advantage. Your ability to open channels that other people can't open is what allows them an easier path in life. So as we interact, a smile from a person can change your life, can change it forever. A little interaction with a child, even though you don't know the child, can blow you wide open. And you don't know how it happens, but you do know it happens. You might be just walking past somebody in one of the supermarkets, And you get a glance from a child that's in a stroller and the mother doesn't know anything about it, but you'll never forget it. So our magic is coming clear to all of us. And it is a real fact that the second you walk into the field of magic and miracles, you've walked out of the field of the old world that we used to call confusion and 2D or even 3D. You've walked out of it and you've turned around and you've watched it all change. You've watched the rainbows have more colour. You've watched the trees have more depth. You've watched people develop character in an instant. And you've seen the birds appear without you having to wait until everything's quiet. You've seen a hummingbird come up and sit right in front of you and have a good interaction with you. And you wonder how such a small thing can have so much power. A little lizard runs up on your foot. You immediately jump and then you realise the lizard was so light and so gentle. It was the energy of it being there that really shocked you into a whole different way of life. So all the interactions are sent to us because of our desire to fulfill the very thing that we yearn for, and that is to offer our gifts to the world and to have the world interact with us and deliver through all the different channels everything that we prepared before we came here. And there is no discussion. It's reality. It's how we feel. And no matter what you've been taught, you sit quietly for about 20 seconds and you'll go, yeah, I know what that's about. And you might get overshadowed by all the training, but you'll come back again and say, it's brilliant to feel that magic and to feel the interface with everything that I can actually change. To realize that I'm sitting in the chair and I'm feeling uncomfortable, in a fraction of a second, I can step out of that and it's gone. Because the comfort that comes in the world of magic and miracles is automatic. You don't even have to know what you're doing. You just have to know, whoops, I shouldn't be there. It's like leaning on something hot. It takes a while to come through to you sometimes. And you bounce off and go, wow, that was hot. That can happen with being uncomfortable. You don't realize. But all of a sudden, when you bounce back, you can laugh at yourself and say, wow, that was easy. All I had to do was bounce away from where I was. So all the process of logic has disappeared. Not about to disappear, it has disappeared. It was something we built that was good for us for a time. But now, there's nothing to say that because you let something go in midair, it must hit the ground at this speed and break. There's nothing to say that that's true unless you live with it. But I've seen many things drop to the ground and bounce. that are not supposed to bounce. You know, how many times do you drop your telephone and it doesn't break? But the force is beyond what it's designed for. So we're able to make things malleable. We're able to change the velocity of things. We're able to increase the velocity of things. You want your child to win the running race, you can actually pull them along faster, and you're sitting 300 or 400 meters away from them. You can encourage your team, no matter what it is, and it'll make a difference. And they've known for years that games played at home always favour the home team. You wonder how that is? It's because that's our capability. The thing that we are missing is that we can turn that up to whatever level we wish. We don't have to go with the crowd even. We can make the crowd happier, sitting there just enjoying the fact that we're making it happen. Excuse me. So your ability is beyond everybody's ability because you're in your world. And they're all visitors. Welcome visitors, yes. But as visitors, they don't have to do the work. And you know, beyond a doubt, that you can do everything without working, without labouring. You just see it and it happens. You just interface with your own computer and you watch everything change. The natural ability of everyone is beyond even their own scope of not understanding, but scope of being able to grasp. The picture is too big, we're only looking at a small square. The picture of ourselves is too big, we're only looking at one component at a time. But when you just go ahead with relaxing, letting it all hang out, let all the energies fly, all of a sudden you have access to everything. The millions of pictures that you can possibly see by having a look at the landscape. You've only got to move your head a fraction, change your eye focus a bit, stand back a bit, look for colour. Millions of pictures you can produce for yourself. You can also have it all at one time. And having it all at one time is so nourishing. That's what nourishes your body. Because there's no deficiency, there's nothing missing. Everything is in its true form, and it's there all at once. So the only reason you have anything wrong with you is because there's something missing. So let it all be there, no matter what it seems like. Don't filter anything. Bring it all in, allow it to be there, and allow your engine to run, because it needs everything that the universe provides. And you can train yourself to not move, and you can train yourself to die. But you're better off not to train yourself at all and to watch how brilliant you really are. It doesn't take long for a child to sit in front of a computer and start to use it. And you go to yourself, how the heck did they figure that out? They don't. They don't figure anything out. They just live that life. And there's a life around everything. There's a life around a computer, there's a life around a person, there's a life around the table. And they all know. They pick up a pencil, they've seen people write, but they start to scribble well before you show them anything. because they pick up the life that's meant to be with every object in the Earth's plane. So know that everything comes with the full message. So you don't have to study it. And you don't need someone telling you how it works. You need someone to demonstrate how they use it. Then you go, all right, you've demonstrated how you use it. Give me a little while, I'll demonstrate how I use it. That's what happens when that light bulb goes on over your head. You've got it all. So there's so much that we can talk about. I could go on for hours because we've actually gone to a higher level of acceptance of each one of us. We've gone to that highest level where we understand the brilliance of everyone and the super intelligence that's being displayed every minute. So from here on in, we will just flourish because we are who we are. And like I say, let it fly. Let everybody have a bit. Throw some magic around and welcome everybody to that statement that I always say. We offer you a perfect life, perfect health, and a really magic future. Thank you.